The Galactic Council had dismissed the reports for decades. Human vessels, they claimed, were primitive contraptions held together by stubbornness and caffeine. The bipedal mammals from the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star were considered barely capable of interstellar travel, let alone posing any threat to the established powers of the galaxy. Ambassador Vexthul of the Hegemony adjusted his crystalline exoskeleton as he reviewed the latest intelligence briefing. The humans had been admitted to the Council as a junior member species 3 years ago, primarily as a diplomatic gesture. Their delegate, a stern woman named Sarah Chen, had made several peculiar requests during trade negotiations. Requests that now seemed less peculiar and more ominous. Magnetic accelerator components, Vexthul muttered, his compound eyes scanning the datapad. High-density tungsten rods, industrial-grade superconductors. They claimed it was for asteroid mining operations. The Zephyrian trade minister had laughed at the time. Asteroid mining with magnetic accelerators? How quaint. How inefficient. The galaxy's mining operations relied on quantum disruptor beams that could atomize ore deposits with surgical precision. What use were crude magnetic launchers? But the reports kept coming. Human freighters spotted in the outer rim. Their cargo holds modified with suspicious regularity. Energy signatures that didn't match known human reactor designs. Ships that moved with far more precision than their ramshackle appearance suggested. The first real warning came from Captain Jektar of the Dominion Patrol Fleet. His 3-ship squadron had intercepted what appeared to be a human smuggling vessel near the Proxima Drift. Standard protocol. Disable engines. Board, confiscate contraband. The human captain, a grizzled man with scars across his weathered face, had smiled when Jektar's forces surrounded his ship. I wouldn't do that if I were you, the human had said through the comm channel, his voice carrying an odd mixture of amusement and warning. Jektar's response was predictable. The Dominion had maintained galactic order for over 2 millennia. No upstart species would intimidate them with empty threats. The human ship's hull panels suddenly slid away, revealing what looked like a massive metal cylinder stretching nearly the entire length of the vessel. Blue energy crackled along its surface as magnetic coils charged with terrifying efficiency. The tungsten projectile that emerged traveled at 12% light speed. It punched through Jektar's flagship like it was tissue paper, continued through the second vessel, and disappeared into the void beyond. Both ships simply ceased to exist, their atoms scattered across several cubic kilometers of space. The human captain's final transmission was brief. We tried to warn you. We really did. That incident should have been the wake-up call the galaxy needed. Instead, the Dominion classified it as an equipment malfunction. The official report blamed faulty reactor containment. The truth was buried beneath layers of bureaucracy and wounded pride. 3 months later, the Hegemony learned the hard way that the first incident was no fluke. Their grand fleet, 300 vessels strong, had moved to claim the resource-rich Kepler system. Intelligence suggested a small human research station orbited the 4th planet, nothing that couldn't be easily displaced. The Hegemony had done this countless times before. Arrive in overwhelming force, make reasonable demands, accept the inevitable surrender. But when they dropped out of hyperspace, they found themselves facing something impossible. The human research station was a fortress. Kilometers of reinforced structure bristled with defensive installations, but it was the weapons that defied understanding. Dozens of magnetic acceleration chambers, each one larger than a Hegemony destroyer, tracked their movement with mechanical precision. Admiral Korthval had laughed. Magnetic weapons? Against modern shielding? Have these primitives learned nothing? The humans opened fire before he finished speaking. The first volley consisted of simple iron slugs, each one accelerated to 15% light speed. They struck the Hegemony's energy shields and passed right through them. The shields, designed to deflect energy weapons and exotic matter, offered no resistance to solid projectiles moving at relativistic velocities. 12 ships died in that first exchange. The second volley used more sophisticated ammunition. The humans had somehow miniaturized their antimatter production facilities, creating projectiles that carried their own annihilation warheads. 30 more vessels vanished in brief, brilliant flashes. Admiral Korthvel ordered an immediate retreat. His once mighty fleet limped away from the system, leaving nearly a third of their number as expanding clouds of superheated plasma. The humans didn't pursue. They didn't need to. News of the Kepler incident spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Every species that had ever dismissed human capabilities suddenly found themselves re-evaluating old intelligence reports. The requests for mining equipment, the modifications to cargo vessels, the odd energy signatures. It had all been preparation. Dr. Elena Vasquez, humanity's chief military scientist, later explained it in terms even the most advanced species could understand. While the galaxy had focused on exotic energy weapons and shield technology, humans had perfected the art of throwing rocks very, very hard. The principle is simple, she had told the emergency council session. Kinetic energy equals 1/2 mass times velocity squared. When that velocity approaches light speed, the energy involved becomes significant. The mathematical implications were staggering. A 1 kilogram projectile at 20% light speed carried more destructive potential than most species' strategic weapons, and humans had built thousands of these launchers. The galaxy's established powers found themselves facing an uncomfortable truth. Their sophisticated defenses, evolved over millennia of warfare, were designed to counter sophisticated weapons. They were helpless against rocks thrown hard enough to punch holes in reality itself. Ambassador Vexthul sealed the intelligence report and activated his emergency communicator. The Hegemony's War Council would meet within the hour. They needed new strategies, new alliances, new ways of thinking about galactic security. But first, they needed to admit they had been catastrophically wrong about humanity. The humans had tried to warn them after all. Every trade request, every modified freighter, every mining operation had been a signal that a new player had entered the galactic arena. A player that understood a fundamental truth the rest of the galaxy had forgotten. Sometimes the simplest solutions were the most effective ones. And sometimes, the species you underestimated were the ones you should have feared the most.